Lavas. I have a sound, finally. Um, yeah, I have a strange tendency to talk about mobile topics in non-mobile specific conferences, but I think that's a little bit unusual, but also fun to hear, other perspectives. Today we'll be talking about over-the-air updates. So first of all, elephant in the room. If there are web developers out there who are just, that's your full-time job, you are questioning why I even talk about this topic, because everything we ship, it just instantly gets deployed and in front of the users. So my goal is for web developers, first of all, is just to feel more empathy towards mobile developers and what are their struggles. And obviously, if you are into mobile developer or full stack, we'll hear more options of what kind of tools or approaches you could use to ship your updates faster in order for them, for the updates to reach your users faster as well. So that's my goal today. I consider this talk pretty lightweight. It's more of a, not forcing you to think, but at least giving you different perspectives of what could be done in this environment, in this mobile ecosystem. And once you face anything specific, at least you'll, something in your head will ring a bell, and then you'll read the documentation anyway, and you'll dive into deeper how to implement any particular technical aspect of it. So story time, pretty lightweight. Today is December 4th, and in all the product environments and whatever is happening in the tech world is different kinds of Wrapped events are happening. So Spotify Wrapped was launched yesterday. YouTube Wrapped is coming this week or the next week. Hopefully, AWS will ship something similar this year. I know, maybe something about the US East 1 outage or something like that. And the bad thing about Wrapped events is that project managers and project owners gets overly hyped about this, and they realize that we need this thing a little bit too late, like now, And now we only have this gap between December 4th and the end of the year where this Wrapped event could happen, where we could launch it. But, product managers want that. Okay, developers, that's us, going under the deadlines, trying to push this as fast as we could, because that's a very timely, we need to release this in a very timely manner. And I gave it for this feature a week. Let's say next week we're releasing it. It will be about December 12th. And yeah, all the team is eating pizzas, giving high fives. We did all we could. We submitted our app update to the App Store. But unfortunately, it's already Christmas. And if you check your dashboards, the app update is still pending. And I'm not just saying that this may happen, but these things definitely happen. And there's, one of the Murphy's Law that they happen at the worst possible moment. And then it is the time when you think about options, like how else we could do. Because for the users to see the Wrapped feature in their app like next year would be a bit too late. They already saw tens of those, and the hype is already past. And now you do not get any marketing benefit into this. You do not get any hype anymore. So that's only a single example where the over-the-air updates could help you. Just if you want to launch something and you have your infrastructure ready, you can just ship new features. You could ship new views, new UIs to your app directly, and hopefully that would help at least with this problem and many more. So we'll start with simple ways of how we can approach this. So the first section is about first of all, checking whatever tools you already have, and maybe these tools are not meant specifically for over-the-air updates, but you could, use them for that. And also using configuration changes to enable disable features in your apps, feature toggling. We'll talk a bit about that. So first of all, Crowdin is one of the good examples. Localizations, is anyone using Crowdin, or at least heard about it? Okay, not that many hands. But the main idea of Crowdin as a service is that you keep your localization files separately from your code, meaning you could give those files to non-technical people, translators, whoever owns copy in your app. They can translate those. Once they translate it, the pull request is automatically created on your repository. So up-to-date copy is merged already to your app, but of course it needs the app needs to be updated in order for that copy to appear in front of the users. But Crowdin also offers, they have their CDN, so these copies could be put on the content delivery network. And once you launch the app checks whether the app has the most recent copy. If not, they just download the newest assets from the CDN, and your copy gets updated without needing to push through all the manual Apple or Google review process. That's only a single option. If you are using any kind of customer support in your apps, possibly you have some kind of help center, you have a lot of maybe blog posts, help articles that leads your users to make, just to help your users, let's say let's put it this way. So obviously it does not make a lot of sense, to with every new article to push a new app update. You need some kind of wrapper, you need some kind of view that is managed for you. So in this case, Intercom offers this view that could be injected in your app, and once you launch any new article, any help post, that would appear in front of the users instantly. Paywalls overall. So I think this is probably the most important slide from this first section, because paywalls are notorious for being every single year among the top 3 reasons why your app gets rejected in the stores, because they follow very strict guidelines. You cannot really improvise that much into paywalls because that touches the user experience, that touches some law and legal things. So you should be very cautious about paywalls. So especially if you're launching a completely new app, you should focus on keeping your paywall as simple as possible just to get through this initial app approval. And once it is launched, then you can use something like RevenueCat, because they allow you to change the paywall over the air, meaning if you use their online editor, you could update the paywall, and this code is automatically reflected in your app. You do not need to do any app update. It just puts in front of the users. And also, RevenueCat is pretty powerful, what's related to A/B testing, what's related to different paywall strategies, subscriptions, pay-as-you-go options, or pay once and have the app for the rest of your life. You can test between those, and obviously, when we are talking about A/B testing, when you're talking about testing overall, shipping those tests in front of the users as fast as possible is crucial in most of businesses. The most straightforward way how you could handle this as well, let's say Firebase Remote Config is just only a single option, but basically you can keep any static configuration file in your server, and once the file gets updated in the server, the UI gets reflected as well. So Firebase Remote Config is a great option because first of all, it's free, so you could just use it, especially if you're using any other Firebase services. If not, any database could work this way. Just have a column with JSON field, that will work. Just putting a static file on your server could work there as well. It will just be downloaded. So if you'll be using this configuration for feature toggling or for any specific details of your app, you could use it. Just your app needs to be prepared in advance in order for these configurations to work. So this is kind of updating over the air, but your app should be aware of all the options that this configuration could support. And a little bit bonus story what's related to this configuration and feature toggling overall. Allegedly, this situation may or may not have happened, but I'll just go through it and just take it with a grain of salt. With one of the app releases, you get an email that your login flow does not work as expected anymore, even though you didn't change the login flow at all through the past 10 releases, let's say. And yeah, these kind of rejections of your app confuse you a little bit, and then you start getting deeper into this. So, for instance, how Apple app reviews are working. Usually, Apple dedicates a specific region for specific users. So, for instance, by IP addresses, you could eventually find out that, for instance, these hypothetical app reviews are happening in somewhere in Thailand. And these people usually the reviewers, I mean, they download the app once, and then with every update of your app, they just update it as a normal user, and they check what's happened and what are the changes. So the thing with Apple sign-in is that these fields, the first name and last name, are only returned during the first initial Apple sign-in, because that's when this is requested. Throughout all the other requests, when you are signing with Apple, these first name and last fields are not returned anymore. And that, by Apple, is considered a bug, because that's a bad user experience, because you are asking for this user information and you are not pre-filling it and asking again for the user to fill it in. I understand that's a bad UX, but the thing is that's how Apple puts it there, because that's working by design. Actually, they only return this information first time, and for the if you do not persist this information either locally or in your database, that's up to you basically, because you are ruining our user experience. Okay, well, let's play according to your rules. So there are various tracking tools. I don't know what you are using. For instance, in some companies I worked in, we use Datadog, because they have pretty good session recording, basically meaning you could see every single view that was that the user get in during the session. And I realized that the app reviewers didn't get through the sign-up flow, like not even once. They just opened the new version of the app, they press login, it is being loaded, maybe with a bug, maybe with not, and they just end it there. They do not go through the rest of the app. And I got an idea. Allegedly. So what we could use this for our advantage and use feature toggling. So one more thing what I like about Firebase Remote Configs is that the values of config could change automatically according to specific rules. So for instance, you are not setting yourself, whether the specific flag is true or false, but you could say, let's say you're doing Valentine's Day in promotion, so you could set that a specific flag will become true only during February 14. So in our case, I created a condition, as a user, that this feature or this feature flag will only become true for the app version which is not yet released, meaning this flag will become true only in the front of the app reviewer. So we are releasing this app without fixing this bug. I accept it. There's a bug, right? But the thing is that in front of the user, these fields are hidden because the feature flag is on. The review is pending. It is happening. The app gets approved. And once the app is released, we have this bug as well. Am I proud of this? Of course not. I mean, this thing is already fixed. But the thing is that this kind of not so crucial user flow, let's say reviews, they really ruin your flow, especially if your business says that we need to release something important next week, and this thing blocks you. So my idea is for you, and what I want to learn from this thing is not to cheat, but to think a little bit out of the box how you could use, over-the-air updates for your advantage. Sometimes it's like, hiding particular information. Sometimes it's just, helping your users to see different result in front of them. It's obviously case by case, but that was just a single hypothetical situation that happened in the past. So the thing about configurations, and the first section was that in order for the configuration to work, you need to prepare your app in advance for all the possible configuration values. Basically, if that's true, false, then you need to be prepared for 2 cases. If that's enumeration value or something like that, you need to account all of that. So you need to take care for them in advance. But for me, over-the-air updates is more about publishing completely new interfaces or completely new features in front of users, because that's where you get the most value out of over-the-air updates. So this section is about that. So the most straightforward way how you can implement this is using WebViews. So I don't know, that may sound strange thing to do, especially if you're building an app and then instead of implementing features, you're just putting WebViews over there. But in some cases, these are useful. especially if you are trying to launch an MVP. So, for instance, that's how Notion mobile app was born. I think they used the Cordova wrapper initially, and they just put all the web Notion version inside the app, and that was their initial release. Now the guidelines are more strict in Apple and Google Play stores. They usually reject these kind of apps because they expect for the main functionality to be native or at least work, inside the app and not as a web view. But web views are still, I would say, a pretty straightforward solution and pretty useful when you are providing static information inside the app. For instance, every app should have a privacy policy or teraflow conditions, something like these pages. These pages do not change that often, maybe once a year, maybe once any legal changes are happening. So it's useful just to maybe prepare those pages on some kind of landing pages of yours, and then inside the app just use WebView to just load the same landing page as you have, and that will save you some time in the future once you need to update them. But more powerful solution is Code Push. Code Push actually is a specific product name that was launched by Microsoft in the App Center a while ago. Rest in peace, because it's not there anymore. But Code Push is still in the industry understood as the solution where you can ship new portions of your app directly without going through the general Apple or Google app review processes. So in the app, if you see any of these modals saying that, oh, look, the new app version is pending, please update the app, whether they are they are mandatory, that you cannot really launch your app until you update it, or whether they are optional. For instance, on the very right, you see only the banner over there, which is just a recommendation, to update your app. So if you saw kind of a pattern, probably this app is using Code Push. So this is an example of a Code Push, not Code Push, but any cross-platform app architecture. It is very general. So the main idea that in your apps, you usually have your application code, which is your business layer, or the code that you write. Then you have some kind of framework, React Native, Flutter, whatever you're using. It works there. And you have, under the hood, you have native bridge, meaning you need to somehow connect this cross-platform code to the specific platform, either iOS, Android, macOS, Windows, Linux, whatever. So this native bridge is, the portion that connects the dots, and then you specify a specific platform that you want to build your app on. So when you are preparing your app update, what you are doing, you're putting all of these top 3 layers and bundling together with a specific platform. That's your one bundle. You ship it to the App Store. You ship another bundle. You go to the Google Play Store. Now, where Code Push could help you in this case is that it adds an abstraction layer on top of your framework. Either that's an SDK, or maybe that's a part of the whole framework itself. So in this case, your application or your business logic does not change that much. It's still there. And all the code that is above the Code Push layer, meaning the whole application code that you write, could be updated over the air because it is bundled separately, and it could be downloaded at any time in your app, like once you launch the app or in the background. And however, there's a limitation with Code Push because you cannot really change the layers below it, because you cannot change like native or specific platform like iOS configuration of your app, because that requires building it for the iOS, and that's not your business logic anymore. So if you need to make changes, let's say you're using Camera plugin. Camera plugin works differently on iOS, on Android, and other platforms. So if you're updating it, then you need to go through the mundane app review process just to get your app updated. But if you are using Code Push, you could, UI changes, small feature changes, big bug fixes, they could go through Code Push without needing to rebundle everything altogether. Oh yeah, I have a scheme. Yeah, Code Push, it lives in your app. Basically, you launch the app for the first time. The app checks with the server whether there is an updated bundle version. If there is one, they download the needed assets, they download them, and if it happens in a pretty quick manner, they launch it immediately. If not, then this update is scheduled, let's say, for the next app launch. And this is basically why you could see in some cases where there's a breaking change in the apps that you open the app for the first time, it still breaks, but on the second time it works. It's because the first time when it broke, it just downloaded the new bundle, but the second time you open it, it just mounted it and the app is working. So yeah, bug fixes could work that way. Yeah, I think that's what I want to mention about code push. And either that's a drawback or that's an upside, is that in order for the code push to work, you need to have a provider, you need to have a server that, delivers you this bundle that you send to the server. So in Flutter world, there's a product Shorebird. In React Native world, there's like Expo application services that provide this. So of course, the drawback of that there are costs. Usually you pay per monthly active users, and as many updates you ship, actually the price is relatively the same, but it depends on how many users you have. So if you have a huge app with huge usage, you could pay for a single update quite a lot. But if your app during downtime brings you more money than the update cost, then I don't see a problem why you shouldn't use it. And also another drawback is that, at least I noticed and I heard this from some enterprises, is that in order for these servers to work, you need to send your bundle to someone else's server in order for that to be delivered, right? And some enterprises or bank applications are not really happy about this. So they are trying, they're talking with these providers, like, can we self-host this and whatnot? So there are options for that, but usually, if you're indie developer or if you are just a small business, usually code push and keeping your bundle on their provider servers are a pretty good option. And yeah, the last part is when you want to take everything into your own hands and you want to take make everything custom, is server-driven UI, and it's I think quite a flexible approach on how you could update your app over the air. So the thing is that, and the good thing about server-driven UI is you could select the scope of it, meaning you could use this pattern for the whole page. You could use it only for a single component if you'd like to. So it's quite flexible. So on the left is basically how any normal application works. You have some kind of backend server that you just use API to get the data from. And once you get the data, then you do all the dirty work on the client end. Whether that's web application or mobile application, doesn't matter in this case. You get the data, then you aggregate it using some kind of UI logic based on how many items I have. Maybe I should show pagination or not, or maybe I should hide some sections or not. And also you're using UI components there to build them. In server-driven UI, the approach changes a little bit because of the UI logic, or how your UI should look like, lives on the server end and not on the client end anymore. And that changes the perspective a bit, because instead of just sending pure data, you're sending UI definitions. So UI definitions is basically, you could imagine this as, let's say in the React context, that could be like a tree of React elements and how they should be rendered. So basically the client becomes dumber in a way that it only gets the commands from the server, and it just traverses the tree, parses it, and basically maps with UI components one by one until the whole UI is rendered. It means that you do not need to keep the UI logic in the app anymore. You can do it on the server side, and also that means that you could update it at any moment, and that will be reflected in the app immediately. So that's why server-driven UI is for. To zoom in a little bit of this, so the top three parts, I already talked about it. So the server sends you UI definitions. That could be JSON, that could be any other format. I'll show you this a bit later. Then on the client end, you have a renderer, basically the parser who understands the definition and translates it to UI components. Usually, there are some core components that are pretty similar in all the server-driven UI frameworks. Text, row, column, button, any other basic atoms, as you may say from the design perspective. These are there, but also usually there's always an option to provide your custom components if you have some. And then the bottom part, or the bottom right part, is about when any app event is happening. So let's say what happens if you click a button, right? Then you go through your normal client logic, but usually these server-driven UI frameworks have an app data layer, which is like a local data state inside your app. So all the updates goes through this interpreter, and they know how to update at the UI accordingly, and then you just basically get into this loop until, I know, you close the app. So that's the zoomed-in version of the server-driven UI architecture. About the formats, so on the left is the real example of the RFW TXT format. This is a specific format used in Flutter applications, and it may not look so intuitive, I would say. So to make it more intuitive, I just translated it to JSON, because this format is basically differently looking JSON, but it could be translated one by one. And if you look, the UI definition on the left, this is the exact Dart code that is rendered on the UI on the right. So you see that definition and not exported, but render code looks quite similar. Maybe the on-press events look a little bit different. Maybe some colors are defined different ways, but basically that's the definition and how it is rendered. So to give you a demo of how does that look like, so on the left we have the same application. So we have a scaffold, basically we have a page, we have a body part, which is just a center text with how many times you click the button. And yeah, on the bottom right, we have floating action button, to put this counter. So I used this app daily before going to sleep to count the sheeps. But the problem happens if you miscalculate everything, and now there's no way to go back. You need to put all the sheeps back to the yard. You need to close the app, open the app again, and now you're just frustrated and not sleepy anymore. So a decent thing to do to improve the UX is to ship an app update. And now instead of a single button being on the bottom right, we have two buttons, so now we can adjust the counter. So again, I didn't change anything on the app side. I just changed the UI definition on the server side, and the AI is reflected over there. So that's the server-driven UI in the nutshell. Now the last portion. If you thought that I wouldn't talk about AI in this session, you were completely wrong, because that's mandatory. So yeah, we talked about server-driven UI, how to publish UIs that you want to the users over the air. But I see AI in two different ways. So the first way is that we really like creating AI wrappers. We just say that we ship a new product, but we just wrapping the AI around. So we can extend the same architecture that we had with server-driven UI, but instead of us setting what kind of UI definition we should send to the app, then we can ask any LLM, let's say our prompt, like this user wants to see this and that, can you generate UI definition for us? They return the UI specs. Of course, we need to validate them, whether they are valid, whether they will be renderable. But if everything goes according to the plan, we just send it to the client, and that's how we made our app AI-driven, I guess. So how does this could look like in theory and in practical way? Let's say, again, hypothetical situation, you are a very lazy public speaker and you didn't prepare your slides in advance. So let's say you want, for the top 3 facts about Vilnius or something like that. And hopefully something will be returned from the server, because this morning it wasn't the case. But maybe that was just Kaunas-Vilnius train issues. On the right also, image generation takes a bit more time, so maybe something will pop up on the right or not, we'll see. But the thing is that here we have this fancy code button, and instead of returning like pure text over there, we were returned with this RFW definition that I talked before. Sorry for it not being formatted. I'm saving tokens. I want to pay less. So yeah, but you could see the same widget with column. Basically, our text is in a column. We have the header, and then we have some facts about Vilnius, and the image also generated. It looks like Vilnius. You could say that. Yeah. So. And I could technically do this for my whole presentation as long as I know what I want to talk about, right? But this is just a wrapper around AI. you still need, to prepare prompts. You need to ask something specific. But I think the power and how AI could be used in a better way is generative UI. So I see more and more, especially, I don't know why specifically, but in health-focused apps, they're doing this a lot. For instance, you're opening your app in the morning. The UI is completely different that you would open this app in the evening. You could see that even the sections are different, the layout are different, because you are accessing different tools that, in the morning you want to see how was your sleep goal, whether they were reached or not. In the evening, maybe you want to log your, I don't know, gym activities or something like that. And it makes sense. I believe that's the main purpose where the generative UI should work and should help the users, because AI, gets more and more context. They know more. They can access your database. They could access more context about your users, and AI is good enough to aggregate this data and provide the best possible representation of that data to the users. Again, zoomed in version of that. Let's say you have an app and you have some kind of generative UI framework. So in Flutter, there's official one that's provided by Google and used by Gemini in web and other platforms. So basically, the framework consists of one God agent component that takes care of UI management and AI clients. So UI agent usually keeps track of your conversation of your whole context, what's happening, what you're asking for, what are the data, and then it delegates the work whether to UI manager to render it or whether to AI client to pull new data and delegate it to UI manager to render it. And the manager usually uses, in the same way as in server-driven UI, uses some kind of predefined widget catalog. These are primitives, button, row, text, columns, whatnot, whatever is needed for the UI. And that's how the flow goes. The app only initializes this framework and what is needed for that. But then the generative UI could ask your AI layer. That could be your server. That could be directly to LLMs, even though that's not very secure, so only for demo purposes maybe. And then you get in this loop of building new UIs. And also what's important about Gen UI, that this generated piece of UI is not static. It could be interacted with. This rendered UI could have their own buttons with their own actions, meaning once you trigger them, a new representation of UI is generated for you. And that's how the loop goes again. Your user uses the app, loads the new UI, new actions, new buttons, new UI again, and that's everything is generated on the spot. And where the over-the-air updates in this case, so if you have this layer of AI in your servers, you could update the prompt at any moment you want, basically saying that, either that's LM, whether that's agent. You could say that you could update the user flow completely just from the prompt, so that makes things simpler. Of course, you need to make sure that the widget catalog is still compatible, but basically, since your whole logic is run by AI, you could update it, and that will also update the app eventually. Maybe I'm explaining this very, complicated, but I think demo would help you understand how it works. So this is the agentic travel app that how to say it politely, I borrowed the code from Google. And let's say it helps you plan your trip, your next vacation. From the audience, is there any dream vacation that you want to go to? Any city, name it. Kona, dream location. Okay, I'm from Kaunas, I'm all for it. So I want to travel to Kaunas alone. That's sad, I know. I am into food, yeah. We'll see whether Kaunas will provide us something. So now what is happening? We are sending all the contexts. Okay, I didn't even manage to explain what's happening over there. So the app got all the context that it needed in order to get the trip. Also, through using the agent tooling, we send all the tools that we have. In this app, there are only three tools. One is add surface, meaning adding a component in front of the user. One tool is remove surface. It's meaning that if we do not need a specific component on the screen anymore, it gets removed, and also update surface. So only 3 tools, but these tools are more than enough to generate UI in front of the user. So let's say, something is generated over there. Let's say we are fine with that. Create itinerary for Kaunas. So since I felt I want to go alone, it should, plan the trip for a single person. Oh, I didn't say how many days I would like to travel. 3 days, okay, that would be a long weekend trip. Luxury, come on, I'm a developer, right? Food and drink, I told that I'm into food, so that's why they selected food and drink, but I can also maybe going around, the Christmas decorations could seem also pretty fun to do. Everything else is pretty okay, so we can generate, and basically what the agent should do, I don't know if we'll need a flight to this place, because also the agent took my location of this computer, so I don't know what will be recommended over there. Kaunas have a pretty nice beach, I would say. So they should take this into account. Also, they should, since it's 3 days, so they should prepare a plan for 3 days. Let's see what's generated. So arrival in Kaunas International Airport. Okay, I'll be flying there, apparently. Okay, check-in at the luxury hotel. Of course, it's luxury, 5-star. And then I'll have a gourmet dinner in the evening. Then day 2 is more about hiking, because I selected that I want to go outdoors. Traditional Lithuanian lunch, always good choice. And then the last day, explore a little bit and departure. So what we can ask the agent is that, okay, I want for you to book my hotel. And again, I didn't ask it through the text. I just clicked the button because that was generated. So check-in. Okay, it's strange. I thought that, the check-in dates would be clear for the agent, but maybe I didn't specify them. So let's say I specify, Oh, the more I write things and talk things, the more sad my Christmas look like to you, I know, but it is what it is. Okay, so find hotels that are available there. Whether real hotels or not will be returned. Spoiler alert, probably not, but we'll see. Yeah, the Dart Inns costing 150. I think that's in Lithuanian environment, that's a luxury price. We can select this hotel. Let's say that's work for me. And what's going on next? Will they ask me for payment or not? I don't know. Maybe they are charging me already. Yeah, it's just spinning. So maybe I reached the token limit finally. Okay, nothing happened, but let me check if the itinerary was updated. I don't know, it was generated there. Oh, it's a green check mark, so hopefully that's booked. Hopefully, yeah, I'll get to the place and I'll see. At least it is written like what kind of hotel was ordered and how much did I pay for that, and when is the check-in time. So again, generative UI is about that, instead of going through the chat interfaces that we already have a lot these days now, it's about providing what's useful at the current moment for the user and to use it at the timely manner. And that's, I think, where the whole direction of app applications not should go, but may go. But we'll see this in the future. I successfully booked a hotel. I'm happy about that. So anyway, to summarize this whole talk is, first of all, if you are thinking about over-the-air updates, first of all, check what kind of tools you are already using. Maybe these are tools not meant for over-the-air updates, but you can use them for that. Then take a look at code push and server-driven UI. Server-driven UI obviously is more custom. You need to prepare in advance for it, but once you prepare your components and prepare your UI, then the remaining features will be much more simple. Code push is, basically plug and play solution for that, but that comes with a price, literal price. And then, you can leverage generative AI if you want to generate something in front of your users. That's a fun thing to do. This presentation and all the other presentations I gave ever are on my blog on Kazlauskas.dev. Thank you very much. I don't know how good on time we are, but I want to mention 2 things. So I'll be accepting questions from you if you want to. And also I have a full bag of stickers. If you are into this, you could take how many you want. So yeah, thank you. That's it from me.